Hi, and welcome to part 4. This is the addendum, so the objective here is to go through the newer updates to the tool since I last recorded. And what I will keep doing is updating this addendum over time. As I go through the addendum, I'll go through some of the new switches or some of the new options within the existing commands, and then give you a demo how that works. Before we begin, customers and partners must engage Dell support for skip level upgrades on VCF VxRail. So let's jump right in with part 4. As a reminder, let's start off with the -H switch for help, and let's see what options we have. I'm not going to go through all the switches within this addendum, just the interesting ones with new information and the new switches. So for example, I'll go through download bundles. It's more informative than before. I'll also look at the release view. That gives us a nice table with versions and components. And then the important one, which is the pre-check. So this new option here lets us now run from within the command line a health check on the management cluster. So what we'd normally do within the SDDC UI, you can now run the health check from the command line before you go into an upgrade. We'll look at this in more detail later on. Let's start off with the -V or version switch. This isn't new, but I just wanted you to see which version of the tool we're running here. So the SDDC manager skip -V, and that should tell us which version of the tool we're running. So 3.10.2, VCF 3.10.2 release, and then you can see the build number ending in 778. I'll run this next part on the Linux machine just for variety so you can see. The manifest. So what I'd like to do is just have a look at the content of the manifest. There are a few new items in here which are used as pre-checks. For example, checking you're on the right version of the tool. There are a couple of ways to get the manifest. You can use one of the switches to pull it down, or if you run the download command, then that also creates a directory structure on wherever you're downloading the bundles to, and then it'll also put the manifest file into that directory structure. It's copied down from the depot. So just looking inside here, we can see here the VCF version 3.10.2.0, the minimum version this tool supports, and the minimum tool version, which is 3.10.2, and then a build number ending in 3.0.0. Below that, the latest tool version, which is 3.10.2, build number ending in 778. So this is the tool we're using right now within this addendum. The other parameters in here relate to the upgrades, and then depending which version you start from and which version you're going to, then exactly what those requirements are. So we can see here upgrade information and then bundle versions and bundle IDs as well that make up those upgrades. Also within this metadata, you'll see it includes checksums, bundle locations, so the URLs, for example, in that case, the download location for the VxRail bundle, a checksum there, the prerequisites for that bundle, version numbers, and so on. Next, release view. So I'm just checking my version, my current version here. 3.9.1.0. Remember, we're preparing this to upgrade to 3.10.2.1. So here I'm just going to run the -R release view, it's asking me if I need the bundles for VCF and VxRail. Plus you'll need to say yes if you're downloading in offline mode. Next, provide the VMware depot a login ID and password. Any second now should give us a table. So from the top to the bottom we can see the latest versions at the bottom there. So it has 3.10.2.1, the release and all the various associated components, NSX Manager, NSXT Manager, vCenter, PSC, and so on. So I did go through the -d command in the earlier parts. And I want to go through this command again because there are a few new options within the command. There's some new information that's displayed, so it's much more informative. So firstly, it's going to ask us our current version of SDDC Manager. And this is important so we can get hold of the manifest, particularly if we're in offline mode. And I'm also specifying the target version. I'm not specifying a version number. I'm inputting the word latest. So I want to go to the latest version. And now I'm providing all the credentials. So my depot user IDs, where I want to download the bundles to. And the manifest will also be downloaded into that target directory. And now we can see for the latest version, all the updates we're going to need to run. And it gives us a bundle size for each bundle and also a description on the right hand side and total size. We need to download all of that. Just going through that list there, I mean, you can see on the bottom as well, it has the bundle ID for the VxRail update as well. So VxRail Manager 47530. Altogether, to get from 3910 to the latest version, I need 11 updates. And that also includes the last set, which are the NSX related updates, PSC update, and vCenter update, and then the VxRail Manager. What do I want to download? I can specify just a bundle ID or a couple of bundles, comma separated, or I can type in the word all. Right, so according to this, it doesn't have enough space. Now, just to quickly go over how the download works. It firstly wants to download to a temporary folder before downloading or copying over to the folder I specified earlier on, which was my target folder for downloading all the bundles. Total space it needs for everything is about 77 gig, and it's asking for about a third of that space within the temporary folder. So yes, space checks are part of the requirements when you run that download command within the temporary folder and then within your target folder. So once I've cleared up this space, I'll run the -d command again, and then everything should download, and then I can move on to copying all the bundles over to SDDC. Okay, new one, upgrade pre-check. So this performs a pre-check on the management domain, something we would normally run from within the UI to check the health of the workload. So let's have a look at this command. So firstly, the switch is --up, and now I need to provide the FQDN of SDDC Manager. Now I'm going to provide all the relevant user IDs. So I've got the primary user on SDDC Manager, and then all the passwords. And I'm going to run the pre-check on my management domain. So normally we do it from within the UI. You'll see there's a pre-check button. It's already kicked off the pre-check here from the command line, and that ran and completed. I'm going to run that a second time and then just show you what's going on in the UI after I fire that off from the command line, so at least you've got a view from the command line and a view from within the UI. So we'll do the same thing again. Providing all the user IDs and passwords. That's kicked off now, and I've gone straight into the UI, and you can see that pre-check is running. So the only thing that'll stop you actually going to the next stage, which is an upgrade, is if there's an error in that pre-check. So if it's a warning, you're fine. An error, it won't let you go to the next step, which is the upgrade. So on the bottom there, you can see health status is green, which is what we're looking for. Red means we'll need to fix the problem and then run the pre-check until it's green again, and then we can run our upgrade. Right, so that's the end of the addendum. So just as a summary, part one, again, we went through a whiteboarding session. Part two, we went through a demo of the SLT switches. Part three, we went through the upgrade. I'm not running through an upgrade here, as that's pretty much the same apart from the version we're upgrading to, but in terms of the UI and the screens, it's run exactly the same way as we saw before. The important bit are the new checks and the new parameters I showed you in the addendum here, and obviously the version we're now going to as well. In terms of the addendum, what I will keep doing is, as the different phases of the Skip tool are released, I'll then add the updates into an addendum. So if you've already seen the first three parts, then you can just jump straight to the addendum and see the new changes or updates. And let me know any feedback, if you want me to add anything else in here. And apart from that, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.